Right now we're looking here at your standard issue V-Strom 650. This is a 2011 model. And what we're going to look at is changing the rotational requirements of the throttle here. The way it comes is you got to turn this thing 120 degrees or more to get it to go to full throttle, which makes operating it kind of sluggish and difficult. So in order to turn this into a 90-degree throttle, I'll show you what I did. You can order these online for about 80 bucks that do the same thing, but I decided, I don't know, I'm too cheap, so I'll just make my own. I've already started taking it apart for convenience here. You got a screw here. You got two screws on the bottom. You got one right there to hold these in. You got a cable tensioner right there that needs to be loosened up all the way. And then your cable ends need to be taken out in order to release this thing. I'll get it off of here and put it on the shop bench and show you what I did. Okay, here we are with the throttle handle taken out. It was about a 5-minute job to do that or so. And then I've got the tools I used to make this happen. Need a drill, various size bits, countersink here, a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver, pair of needle nose pliers to help get the cables off of the throttle. This is a tri-tap. I use the 632 tap on the end of it. Any 632 tap will work. A pair of bolt cutters, some 632 flathead screws, a couple of files, and some channel locks. Now what I did, I've already done this, so I'm not going to take it apart and show you, but you'll be able to figure it out. If you can't, you probably shouldn't be doing this. For a spacer to increase the radius of the place where the cable turns inside here, I found a grade A extra large tie wrap and used a piece of that. You can see where I cut off the end of it. It's about 2 millimeters thick, which is about the right thickness. It's also really tough nylon and can handle the pressure and wear of the throttle cable. Now what I did here was trying to get the right angle. Place the piece of tie wrap in the appropriate position so that where the cable comes around and lays down on it, you've got a bit of space there so that it doesn't come on too hard. You don't notice the difference in the initial reaction of the throttle. But as soon as you get into this area, it rapidly increases the turn or the pull on the cable that opens up your throttle body. I used a drill and a tap to put these two screws in, as you can see on each side of it. I used a file here to flatten out the end of this thing so that it smooths it down where there's not a big jump in it. As you see, I turned the screws in line with the cable, and then use this file here, which is really just a round file for small chainsaw blades, to file a groove into this for the cable, and to round off the edges of the screws that are in there so that it runs smoothly over the top of them. And then made sure that I cut the screws off to where they didn't go through into the inside of the tube there, where it would scrape the handlebar. But that's pretty much it. This makes a significant difference in the way that the throttle response is on the motorcycle, and it gives the impression or the feeling that you've got a 20% or more increase in horsepower just by opening the throttle quicker, because it opens in a quarter turn, where previously you had to get all the way out here on your fingertips to get it open, and by that time you had slowly increased the speed where it wasn't comfortable. It just wasn't it wasn't a good feel to it. But with this, it's a lot crisper, quicker, and a real pleasure to drive. I can't believe it took so long to do this. Disclaimer is, you shouldn't try this at home if you're not good with your tools. You'll probably mess up and kill yourself. What I used the vice grips for here was I started with one hole, drilled it, seated it, then I pulled this around as tight as I could, and then pulled it tight with the vice grips so that I could drill another hole so that this thing is really tight and it won't come loose or move. And I countersunk the holes so that the flatheads are flush with the rest of the thing. So if you're willing to, the whole thing took me less than a couple hours. That included getting all the tools together, doing it, taking it apart, putting it back together, and making it go. First ride, I was thoroughly impressed. Hardest part was keeping the front wheel down on the ground. No, just kidding about that, but it did make a big improvement in throttle response. Hope you enjoyed this.